Welcome back to Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm
Yeah,
Harrison
sure.
Sanford. We were coming to you on this Halloween day, and best believe it's got a little bit spooky in the NBA over the past 24 hours. Going to talk about some Halloween outfits that we saw. Going to talk about the records of Danny's former teams, particularly the Memphis Grizzlies, who are not off to a hot start in the NBA. But of course, we all know why you're here. James Harden has been traded. And in that trade, which we will definitely discuss from both sides, the Clippers side and the Sixers side, Danny has now been waived from the Philadelphia 76ers. Before we talk about anything else, if you could, peel back the curtain. What has the last 12 hours for you been like?
It's been I wouldn't say hectic, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, at this point in my career, I'm used to it. It's been a lot of moving in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
but you know, unfortunate timing of the situation for everybody, I'm sure. Um, but it was about 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. I get the call from Daryl, and he wanted me to hear from him first, so I appreciate him calling and reaching out and showing me the respect. But he said there was a trade that was made. They got more players than they sent out. And unfortunately, they had to waive somebody, and my contract was the one that needed to be waived. And this is even more unfortunate. I'm 90% done unpacking my stuff. 2 in the morning, I just took the dogs out. I come back in. I'm pretty much unpacking all day. And I think we're probably 7/8 through, probably like 85% done and getting rid of stuff. So this happens as I'm almost done unpacking all my stuff. We just moved in about a week ago. Just got the family here about a week ago. The wife, the baby, the dogs. So we just got somewhat settled in the crib for about 7 days, and now it's like got to figure it out. But in good news, got a chance to be with the team, be with the group preseason. Got a chance to show what I'm capable of. Had an opportunity here. I appreciate Philly for that. And they talked about, maybe possibly circling, rekindling back. We don't know. But a lot of things are up in the air and figuring out, what the next step is and the next move is for me. But so I was fortunate enough to be able to show other teams that I'm still capable, and hopefully some teams take interest.
Yeah, I think there's so many different angles here. I think for me, when you and I were texting last night, my immediate thought was, "Damn,
Yeah,
Danny, you just got your wife and kid
bro.
over to the other side of the country."
Yeah.
I think,
Like the wave situation sucks, but I think more the first thought that came to mind is like, damn, I just started unpacking. Like, it would have been more convenient if it got waived a week ago or before they got here. It's never convenient to be waived, but so with the inconvenience of being settled and everybody just getting here it was like that was the more damn part for me too. I was like, damn, I just took the dog. I just was unpacking. I stopped unpacking and just said, all right, well, I guess I have no practice tomorrow. And
yeah,
you know,
yeah, I think that's definitely the thing that made me take it back. So I could only imagine you would be taking it back too. And it makes me think just in general, Drew Holiday's wife recently made a post about this.
mhm.
Nick Batum's wife actually made a post last night about how much of an inconvenience it could be, or how cold-hearted the industry could be. And I'm like saying to myself, I feel this for you because I know like the excitement for you to have your first child and bring them over from the West Coast to the East Coast. But I could only imagine, Danny, and obviously you've seen it, what it could be for these for these NBA players who have bigger families and kids in school and all of it. It really starts. Last night was the first time I really felt like a human when it comes to this part of the game.
Yeah, man, it's tough. It's what we sign up for. There's a lot of inhumane parts of the business, and that's a lot of parts of businesses. It's a cold, you're making a lot of money and you're very successful in certain industries. There's some disadvantages, and it's tough to keep relationships. It's tough to get close to people. It's tough to have your family be comfortable because you just never know. And I don't think they do it on purpose. But end of the day, it's a business. They have to do what's best for their business. A lot of times, teams don't want to do certain things. They're like upset about it. But trades happen, waves happen. Um, certain things with numbers wise and roster spots and tax brackets and cap space, all that comes into play. Um, and it just makes it end up being said. I don't think it's a malicious thing that they're trying to do, but it ends up being a pretty cold business and a pretty uh, insignificant situation for most of us. When it comes to being traded, being waived, and having to move. So in the last 5 years, I think I moved 7 times or so. This might be number 8. So, um, you know, and it makes you rethink a lot of things about your career, your spot. Is this worth it? Do you want to keep doing this? Do you want to take a different route? Um, and sometimes it can hit your confidence. But I have a great foundation. My family's behind me. My friends, my group of friends are great behind me. Keep me grounded, keep me confident, and knowing that I'm very well capable of continuing to give this thing a couple good more years. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think already know how I do during every game that you play in. I'm probably searching Twitter at one point or another, and I think one of the main conclusions that a lot of people had from the preseason, was like, Danny looks like he's back, and there were some even media members who were saying that you looked better, that looked as good as you did before you got the first injury, the ACL and the LCL injury. So I think as to your point, there should be some general manager, some assistant general manager, some team scout who saw you during the preseason and said, okay, this could still be a very reliable 3-and-D player in our rotation. And I think, and obviously I don't know what Nick Nurse's rotation was, and obviously Furkan Korkmaz was injured during training camp, but it had seemed to me, to my eyes, that you had a rotation spot on the team. And if the contract situation was different, with yours obviously being non-guaranteed, if your contract situation was different, then you'd probably still be on the team. So I don't know. It's tough. It's definitely.
I'd like to think the same, and hopefully there are somebody out there that sees that. But yes, I feel like I was in great shape. I had a good training camp. And we'll never know, but I'd like to think that if my contract was different, that I'd still be on the team and that I'd be in the rotation. But you never know. So night in and night out, you with Nick, you could be first guy off the bench, depending on the matchups. Milwaukee, I was, first, second guy off the bench. Top 6, 7 man rotation type situation. Me and Kelly came off. Then it was Pat. I'm in 6, 7, 8. That type of thing. And then another night, he said it was back to back. Wanted to rest me. So. You never know, but I thought I was pretty good throughout training camp and had a pretty solid rotational spot. But, things change throughout the year. You never know what's going to happen. And also injuries happen. So it's just a lot of up in there, a lot of confusion, a lot of, you have to wait till the dust settles to actually figure out the real thoughts,
For sure. Definitely have to wait until the dust settles. That is for sure. I think it's, it's interesting. We spend in the media, we spend so much time talking about the big guys, the James Hardens of the world, the Kawhi Leonards of the world, the Ben Simmons of the world. All these guys, Danny, have had, even though you're your own man, for sure, if you step back and think about it, those three players, and obviously even more, but those 3 players have had such a significant impact on your career, your contract situations, your rotational minutes, how you perform. It shows the power of superstars, but it also shows that, like, obviously everybody has to be for themselves. But in this circumstance, for example, Ben Simmons not showing up for when he was there, it clearly impacted the quality of shots that you were getting. It made you have to guard a different caliber type of player, because you became the primary, to the point where Doc was even trying to put Matisse Thybulle on them. And obviously you had, I think it was the hamstring you were dealing with that year.
So I ended up doing that, to going to the bench, to coming off the bench, the bench.
And then you didn't play well. And then you came back to life, for lack of a better phrase, in the playoffs, when Matisse couldn't play because of the vaccine. And then now you have the James Harden situation, where it's like, you seem like you fit in, and you probably would have even fit in better if James was going to play with the Sixers. But he didn't like his contract situation with Philly, so he's out of there. It's just, yes, they're superstars, and the media will always talk about the superstars, but man, the impact that superstars can have on other players' careers, I could understand why people, and I'm not saying this, I could understand why people were probably upset at Ben Simmons, because the collateral damage of his decision not to show up, or even right now, like, there could be, I don't know how you feel, but like, James Harden's beef with Daryl Morey has had a significant impact on your present career.
Yeah, man. The ripple effect is real in our league. And a lot of times, if a superstar is not happy, it's going to affect you. Like PJ Tucker, he's thrown into this deal. I don't know if he was wanting to be thrown into this deal or not. And for me, luckily, uh, and sometimes unfortunate situations where I was lucky enough to be traded to Toronto, but that wasn't my decision as well. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went, and I'm glad I had a hell of a year. Um, and Kawhi's decision to not go back to Toronto it had an effect on free agency. Ben's decision, James's decision, James getting traded, brought some other people with him. Also, my contract, what it is, I wasn't able to stay. So there's a huge ripple effect that happens throughout the league, not just with me and not just guys on the current roster and the roster that they're going to, but throughout the whole. Because now other teams may have freed up roster spaces. Now they have to make moves. A lot of teams this summer are waiting on Dame to be traded. A lot of teams waiting on James. So there's so many free agents just waiting, to be signed by these teams that are not trying to make any moves because of these two guys. When KD got traded, I think that had a ripple effect on the league as well. Mm-hmm. And Memphis makes the trade. Now Memphis is like, all right, we got to scramble, make something happen. They get Luke Kennard. Now I have to move again, so that type of situation. So many different things that have happened that have ripple effect on the role players for sure.
Yeah, it's quite a unique circumstance. All right, I'm sure there will be a multitude of follow-ups. I don't think we need to say this, but I think you can just go ahead and clarify. That's not the last we'll see of Mr. Green on the basketball.
No, it's not the last you'll see of me, man. I'm not one of those. I didn't do all this damn rehab to just go home and chalk it up for retirement. For sure. I still have a lot left in me, and a lot of the guys express that. A lot of coaches express that. They think I have more years than I think I have, but like you look really good. You have definitely a lot to give. So I definitely have some years to give, and I plan on giving them as best I can before I call it quits and hang up the shoes.
Yeah, I will be. I'm not your agent, but I have been scouring roster spots over the NBA already. So we'll talk off air about that.
I don't want to give my thoughts on it yet, but what do you think about the trade? Sure. Who do you think won the trade? That's what I want to know. Who do you think won the trade? You think that was enough for James?
No, it's not enough for James. Not enough. Okay. Because I understand that. First of all, in my opinion, the situation shouldn't have gotten to where it was with James. That's obviously the first mistake. Because if the situation never got there, then you probably get more in return. With that being said, too, I understand James was seen as a diminished asset. So I have two things. Number one, was that deal not going to be there at the trading deadline? There's nothing. I personally, and again, I'm not a general manager, I personally don't think there's anything significant enough that wouldn't have been available at the trading deadline. Number two, we know what James Harden's superpower is for this current. For his past 76ers team. It was being an elite playmaker. He led the league in assists last year. It's part of the reason why Joel got MVP. All those short rolls to the rim, that little mid-range jumper that Joel got, that was James Harden's bread and butter. Joel Embiid does have to thank James Harden for a lot of the situations that he was put in last year offensively. There is no point guard added in this haul of picks. Now, I understand Tyrese Maxey is seen as like the future of the franchise and this, that, and the third, but he's not a pure point guard. He's a scoring guard. So I still think that the biggest issue that I see with the current Sixers was a pure playmaker, which the trade doesn't address. And then this deal would have been on the table at the traded deadline, in my opinion. Now you put yourself in a situation where you have to capitalize on this package by the trade deadline, one would think, because you know what's going to happen, Danny. You already heard the rumors before the season even started. New York is waiting. New York is hoping that this thing falls apart in Philly, whether Maxey doesn't develop as a playmaker, whether Embiid just grows frustrated with the process while seeing the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks continue to elevate. And here's the other thing too, and maybe this is why Daryl felt compelled to take this deal at the moment that he did. I don't know. I haven't talked to Daryl at all. Maybe he said, because James Harden called me a liar in public, I don't want the public perception of me to be negative going into free agency, because as it stands right now, especially with PJ Tucker's $11 million coming off the 76ers books for next year. You had a player option. The Sixers can have Joel Embiid, another max player, and extend Tyrese Maxey. That is the cupboard could be bare in a very good way. And if other players, other big time free agents are thinking, oh, I can't trust Daryl Morey, look how he did James Harden, then maybe they're not willing to come over there. So I can understand it by that. But it's going to take for me, it's a long way of saying, for me, it's going to take a long time for the Sixers to be winners of this trade. Whereas the Clippers, I think they win immediately. Yes, I don't know how the hell James Harden and Russell Westbrook work in the same backcourt together, but I think Ty Lue is one of those coaches. If there's very few coaches I think can figure it out, Ty Lue would be one of them. And I think, they have a lot of talent over there in LA. It's going to be hard to figure out how it works, but that's a problem I would like to have.
For sure, 100%. And a lot of times they do have unhealthy games, unhealthy days where some of those guys will be sitting out, then you make up for it. And, they're all not going to be together every game. There's going to be games where Kawhi sits, PG sits, and then you still have Russ and James playing. But I do have some follow-ups to the question.
And let me add in too. And it was reported that the Sixers really wanted Terrence Mann. Didn't even get Terrence Mann out the deal. So it's a lot of pressure that the front office has to make that haul of picks and all that, make that worth something.
First follow-up question: Why would you wait till the deadline to make the trade?
Because maybe something else better happens. It's the NBA.
All right, so happen. James, what part of James' situation you are speaking of for the fans? I'm asking all these questions for the fans. What part of the situation would you not allow to get to that point, and what part are you speaking of exactly?
I mean, I just wouldn't want. I personally would have liked to think that my relationship wouldn't have considering the long-term relationship that they had, it wouldn't have soured to the point where I'd be publicly called a liar.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because now you're killing my public perception, which could potentially make it difficult for me to move forward in doing other aspects of business, considering the cachet that James Harden has. I wish I could comment more, but I don't know all the details. Right?
Third
if
follow-up,
I did, I'm sure I would say a lot more.
Third follow-up, do you think this is the end of the deal? Do you think Philly takes this package that they have and continues to make another move for that second playmaker point guard that they're looking for? Maybe a Malcolm Brogdon that is in a spot in Portland that I'm sure that they were talking about trying to deal him.
So I'm seeing a lot of Twitter talking about Zach LaVine, and I don't think that's a necessary move. Granted, Zach LaVine is a talented player, but I don't think that doesn't address the issue that I would see with the Philadelphia 76ers, which is playmaking.
For sure.
And it's
a real true point guard is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not to say that either Tyrese Maxey can't develop into one, or it's not to say they can kind of go the route that the Denver Nuggets do, where Jamal Murray is not a pure point guard, but he plays point guard because Nikola Jokic is also helping with the passing
facilitation.
Yeah, and we've seen it so far this year.
You just need a second facilitator. Yeah,
Joel Embiid's been a way more a willing facilitator. He struggled with some turnovers at times, but he's been if people will cut, he's actually hitting them with the ball. Tyrese Maxey's doing a better job at playmaking. So maybe they just say we will trust the development of these two. But considering the circumstances, considering the Bucks roster, considering the Celtics roster, I'm not waiting for development anymore. Joel Embiid is clearly in his prime, and I personally would not want to waste any more years of that prime on a what if.
Yeah.
Give me a sure thing. That's what I would want to do, considering Joel Embiid's status where he is now.
Agreed.
It's tough.
For sure. You answered all my questions, my man. It's an interesting trade, and we have to wait till dust settles to see how it plays out. And it's a good problem, Ty Lue, to have all those talented players and figure it out from there. Philly has some good pieces too, where I think they lacked wing depth and length. I think they filled that void, but they're looking for a playmaker. So I think it's a pretty fair trade for both sides. We just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like a Nick Nurse roster because there's mad wings now, and there's a guy you can go to in isolation in Joel, and there's a point guard who could score the ball at times in Tyrese Maxey. So it feels like a Nick Nurse team. I would almost say they might have too many wings. but I guess that's really not a bad thing to have,
Yeah.
per se.
I think at the end of the show, we'll have to get into those options that you were talking about. We were looking at the roster spots. We'll have to get into that at some point before we get off the air.
Yeah,
But we can go to the next
shouldn't go to
topic.
wax. Maybe we shouldn't go to wax. Yeah, we'll I'm sure there'll be more follow-ups on this whole drama. And I will say this though too, Danny. It's interesting, and again, I've been working in media for a while. I find it interesting that so many people have. It used to be the team that gets the best player wins the trade, right? But in this instance, the popular thing to say is the Sixers won the trade, at least by the media members. And it goes back to the point that I've made on the show a multitude of times. When you have an agent or you have good PR, it truly impacts how people perceive things. Because it always used to be the team that gets the best player won the trade. But in this instance, because everybody hates James Harden and forgets to remember that he's still a Hall of Famer.
20 and 10, 21 and 11.
The Clippers lost the trade. Yes, they created a problem for themselves, but they created a good problem.
For sure. 100%.
All right, we're going to keep going around the NBA when we come back. Pick and roll segment up next right here on Inside the Green Room. Back with Inside the Green Room. Let's get to the pick and roll, please. Danny, you know what time it is. Let's get to the vibes. The NBA unveiled new courts for the in-season tournament as a way to brand the new in-season tournament. Looking forward to see how it all pans out. I think some of the courts look good. Some of them I could do without. Here's my question for you. Name the teams in the NBA that cannot do a rebranding. Like, for example, so like this in-season tournament is a way to brand the tournament, make it feel brand new, to give it some significance. Name the teams or the brands that cannot do a rebranding. Like, for example, I'm a
big
Yankee
cities,
fan.
Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm a Yankee fan. You can't change the Yankee logo. They always have to wear pinstripes. You know what I'm saying? So name the teams that cannot.
I'm going to go with the big major cities that have won a lot of championships, like Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers, Golden State Warriors, Chicago Bulls, San Antonio Spurs. How many is that I've listed?
That's 5, 6.
Well, the Spurs can now because they're I guess they can a little bit, not really, but
they're in a new era. They're in a new era.
Yeah, Miami Heat, maybe. Those are my teams that I see as teams that can't really rebrand because they've been around for so long and they've been winning for so long, and their brand is their brand. And to change it would be kind of weird.
Yeah. Did you see that tweet from Kyle Kuzma? He had made a comment about the new jerseys that came out, and he basically said he's kind of tired of all these alternate jerseys coming out because it's kind of losing the nostalgia of the old. It's kind of losing its, when you keep on coming out with these alternate jerseys, it really kind of loses the flair of what
of the original, the originality of the city, of the brand, of the jersey, of the teams that started it all. And that's what we all grew up, because as kids, that's what we grew up watching, what we wanted to wear, those jerseys. Those are jerseys we remember. And we're getting kind of further and further away from that. A lot of kids, the new generation, is never going to know or recognize when it comes back around what the old brands look like.
I know a lot of Sixers fans, while they might have liked the newer jerseys that came out, the City of Brotherly Love ones, a lot of Sixers fans are saying, when are they just going to bring back the Allen Iverson ones? Just bring those back and everybody be happy. But that's, hey, you know how the business goes. All right, topic number 2. Tuesday night, Halloween night, starts a back-to-back between the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, you're familiar with that playoff series from last year.
Yeah.
The one thing that caught a lot of people off guard, or caught people's attention rather yet, at the end of the series, Jared Allen said the lights might have been too bright, which is quite the quote, especially for New York Knicks fans to hear. So let me ask you a question. It's a game 7. Let me give you a starting 5 of the players who are well accustomed to the bright lights. Players who have won the most NBA championships per position that are still current. Steph Curry, 4 at point guard. Klay Thompson, 4 at shooting guard. LeBron, 4 at small forward. Draymond Green, 4 at power forward. JaVale McGee with 3 at with 3 at center.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, that is correct. I looked at it before the show. That's your starting 5. The all bright lights team. Steph, Klay, LeBron, Dre, and JaVale. in a
Hmm.
game 7 of the 2024 NBA Finals. I'm making it up, obviously. Do you take that 5 or any of the 5 in the league?
Ooh, I'm taking that 5. I'm taking that 5. Um, there might be one set of 5 that I would take that's a little bit younger, but I'm taking that 5. The other 5 would have to be constructed of all your top all-star play, like guys that Giannis, Jokic, you know, KD, Book, that type of situation. Um,
I think
but yeah, I
you
think
could
that
make a 5 that could beat them for sure, but I
yeah.
think
To my
to
point,
Jared
yeah, I'm
Allen's
going.
point, you
Yes,
gotta be used to the lights.
you got to have experience, and I'm taking that 5 against any 5 any day of the in the history of the game. I'm taking that 5. You know, uh, that's a good 5 to have.
I like that. I wouldn't do it in a full. I wouldn't do it in a full playoff series. I'll find another lineup that could beat them in a full playoff series, probably.
Yeah,
But
but you
in a
could do
one
it
in
in
a
a one
game
game 7.
7,
Yeah, I'm taking that 5 for
okay, there
sure.
you go. Danny's taking Steph, Clay, LeBron, Dre, and JaVale McGee in a winner takes all game because they're used to the bright lights. All right, final question of our pick and roll. Going to keep it short and sweet today.
Hmm.
Miami and Memphis are combined 1-7. Danny combined
Yeah,
1-7 to start the season. Meanwhile, two teams that didn't make the playoffs last year are playing well. Indianapolis Pacers, New Orleans Pelicans are combined 4-2. End of the season, who has a better combined record? The Grizzlies and Heat or the Pelicans and Pacers? Mind you, again, Grizzlies and Heat made the playoffs last year, but
yeah,
significant absences from their roster. No
yeah.
Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark, John Morant suspended for 25 games, no Max Strus, no Gabe Vincent. On the other side, you got the Pelicans getting back Zion Williamson,
Yeah.
the Pacers, assuming they have full health here, from Tyrese Halliburton and a second year of Benedict Mathurin. So one more time, Grizzlies Heat, Pacers Pelicans, combined record, who is the best at the end of the season?
I still think the Grizzlies Heat find a way just because of the culture. They know how to win. I think the other teams are still trying to figure out or find a way. It all depends, like you said, on the health wise. And the biggest issue for me, health wise, is not the guys. It's more Zion and Brandon Ingram. Because I think
Mm.
New Orleans has a very talented team, very good team, but they're so up and down with the health that it's hard for them to continue. I think Indiana's going to be really good this year. Well, a lot better than they were last year. So I think they're going to hold up their end. I think New Orleans is going to be a tough team to hold up their end to keep the combined wins above Miami and Memphis. Memphis is going to struggle a little bit early on. So is Miami, but they always find a way to figure it out because they have the culture of winning.
Yeah, Bismack Biyombo was added to the Grizzlies roster. I don't know how much that's going to do for them, but they do need another big body down there for sure. I do like the Pacers, and I think they're a sneaky team to get a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference, especially if
Mm-hmm.
Halliburton plays at an all-star level, which he did last year. Mathurin, second year. Miles Turner says he wants to be in the all-star game. It's in Indianapolis this year. Provide a little bit even more motivation, and Bruce Brown, who just won a championship with the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to lean towards the Pelicans and the Pacers. I think
Okay.
the Pacers mess around and have like 38
Pacers are gonna
wins
have
or
a great. They're gonna have a
39
great
wins or so
season.
at least.
But
Yeah.
New Orleans
And
is gonna be
I'm going to put some trust in Zion.
okay.
All right,
Yeah.
when we come back, it is Halloween, so we're gonna look at some of the best outfits we've seen so far, and Danny will take us into the life of what it is to be in a locker room during Halloween as an NBA player. Be right back. Hope you guys enjoy your Halloween nights. Only 3 games on the NBA schedule on Tuesday, so enough time to maybe get out there trick-or-treating. Before we get into some of the things we saw in the NBA on Monday, or over the weekend rather yet, for a Halloween weekend, Danny, do you have a distinct memory of a Halloween party celebration, or can you just tell us what it is or what teams usually do when it comes this time of year?
Yes. The most recent one, Bron is a big Halloween fan. I'm sure if you don't know, most people do
Now you
know
know.
that. And yeah, now you know. And every year this is one of his welcome to the team, welcome to the season type of thing. He throws a party as a party for the team and his friends, which are like big time celebrities. So yeah, a little private party. We all had some great costumes. I remember being in LA. That was the most recent one. There's a couple of ones that stand out, but this is the most recent. Had a lot of fun. He does well for the Halloween and for his birthday, which is right around Christmas time or New Year's time. So it's like a New Year's like New Year's end birthday party for him. But the Halloween one is like, you know, family come together. We're a team now. We start the season. Let's build some trust. Nick Nurse does a thing as well. We did it in Toronto. We visited, I wouldn't say a haunted, but it's like a big ass castle. It's kind of haunted. We did a team thing, dressed up in costumes. I was the Riddler, but the one in LA, um, we did, and there were some really great costumes. I remember Quinn Cook being Kodak Black. I remember Dwight being Rasputia from Eddie Murphy's
You know I
movie.
don't
You
know.
don't know
You
him.
know I don't know.
You
You
don't
know
know
I
any
don't know
movies,
movies,
man.
bro. Come on, what are we doing here?
There was some good funny ones, man. Some really good ones. Even Mikey, his trainer, was a Penguin from Batman. Was a really good costume. He was Edward Scissorhands. Braun was Edward Scissorhands. So there was some good costumes, man. We had a lot of fun and some great people, great company. Me and wifey, she was Black Widow, and I was um, what's the name? Not Green Arrow, but I'm drawing blanks here with all the names for these characters. But one of the Avengers that has the bow and arrows, that's who I was. I'm trying to remember his name at the time. Do you
Does
know?
does come on, bro? Come on. Does
Yeah, you're
Win
terrible.
have does Win have a Halloween get up today?
No, we were going to do the Halloween party tonight with the
Oh,
team.
god damn.
Unfortunately, I'm no longer.
Shit.
So, and actually, it wasn't going to be a Halloween party for him anyway because it wasn't for kids. We'd had to get a nanny.
Yeah.
But I did before I asked them if it was for kids, but I ordered costumes for if it was a family thing. And I ordered me to be Alan from Hangover and the baby outfit. Would have had him as the baby outfit with the glasses.
Mm.
Could have been kind of fun. A last minute thing. Also have Chucky outfit. If he has Bride of Chucky. We had a family thing. It was another option of him being Winnie the Pooh, because
Yeah.
you know, my mom, his grandma now, calls him Pooh as a nickname type thing, his name Winnie the Pooh. And
Mm-hmm.
I would have been Tigger. I think wife would have been Piglet. We had a couple ideas. We just hadn't put anything together, formed it. Um, Luckily and unluckily, don't have to now. So
Yeah.
we just be home chilling and figuring out the repacking situation.
Jeez. Nah, bro. I know you're the type of guy who likes to sort away your own stuff and like pack it because you like to be organized.
Yeah.
But listen,
So
bro.
another funny story.
I'm paying some after doing all that, I'm paying somebody to do it
Another
now.
funny story. When I got in, we got into the house, nice place, love it. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And they asked me, the owner of the house we're renting from them. They're like, "Do you want somebody to like help you?" But no, we kind of like our own stuff a certain way. Da, da, da. It was a long first day. I had to move the family out of the hotel into the house. When we got here, did all that stuff. I opened up 4 boxes and was like, "Man, what the hell am I doing? I'm paying somebody." I texted her like, "I'm gonna take you up on that offer. I need to hire somebody." And they weren't
Thank you.
available. They weren't available right
Oh,
away. So we still had to continue. We had some people help break down boxes, but we still kind of did it. Wifey was a beast. She got through so many boxes. The first day we knocked out like half the stuff, and then it's by day 3 or 4, like 3/4 of it was done. So we got it done fairly quickly, and we didn't need their help. But we kind of just did our own and organized it the way we like to organize it. So if I have to move again, when I do, I'm for sure hiring people to do that
yeah.
type because
Yeah,
the
you
pain in
could
the ass,
oversee
man.
them. You could watch them, but don't be picking up no
Yeah,
more boxes, man.
man,
Open up boxes. I could even imagine. I couldn't even imagine. I'm like, I might stay in this apartment for the rest of my life, Danny, because I don't want to
man.
live
Moving
again.
that many times, so we like our stuff a certain way, but man, moving that many times, it's like, man, I don't care where you put, just put it out somewhere.
For sure. All right, let's go through these Halloween outfits that we saw real quick, and then we'll just say goodbye. Well, I'll ask you to rank it as a trick or a treat. I don't know if this is from his most recent party, but it is his most recent post.
Yeah.
Trick or treat here. What we got?
Do you know who that is?
That's what's his name? That's Beetlejuice, ain't it?
Yes, that's Beetlejuice. Yes, it's Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I think he did a great job. I'm a big fan of that. That's a good one. What now? You say trick or treat for which now? You say trick or
You
like
trick
treat
or
as if it's
treat.
good.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's a good one. I think that's a great one. It's a treat, I guess. I would assume that's a treat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. No, that
you
works.
did
Yeah.
well.
See, I'm never been the one. Once for me, once the Halloween get up goes to like paint in my face, I'm out. Like, you know, like
You just
I'm
don't
good
have.
with like.
So when you're done doing what you're doing, you have time, and you have like a good costume person. Like he has, I won't say he has time, but he has a good costume person that you can go to. I feel like when we're retired and we're old, Harrison will celebrate the holidays a little bit differently. We'll put together a better outfit.
It's not once
Paint is a
I
little
gotta
bit much,
yeah,
but
once
you
I
can
gotta
still
start
find
changing my
somebody.
color. I'm not changing my color, bro. I gotta keep this black skin
Nah, he did a
going.
hell of a job. He did a hell
He
of a
did, he
job.
did, he did. Hey, to each is
Yeah.
their own. To each is their own. All right, now we got Giannis Antetokounmpo came through like the what? I guess he's the Hulk.
Party City is the Hulk. Yeah, he just went and grab some gloves and a mask. That's a trick. But I mean, he did impressions well at the podium. I saw that. It was dope. No, he played into the role, but
He gotta
he
do a little.
didn't.
He gotta go a little bit harder, in my
He's
opinion.
gotta find a costume person. He has enough money now. He can find a good costume person in Milwaukee to every year make sure he's on point. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's go to the final win. Jose Alvarado with the Saw character. I like this one, Danny.
Nah, it's dope. We seen Steph do that a couple years ago. That every time anybody does
Steph
it,
did it before. Then
yeah,
it's
he
a
had a bigger
copycat.
bike
Then it
though.
can't
He did
go.
a bigger. I wouldn't say copycat because it's, but you gotta get a bigger bike though. But he did it. That's a
Yeah,
that's a treat right there. That's a good one.
He
Gotta get a
does
bigger
gotta
bike.
get a bigger bike. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. If you guys are listening to this podcast and you don't understand what Danny and I are talking about, it means you need to go to our YouTube page. You can see some of the video that Danny and I are reacting to inside the green room on YouTube. And by the way, Danny, final costume of the day. Come on, bro.
Yeah, my boy Carlton. You got the Will Smith. That's the Will Smith. That's the Will Smith jersey. But you gotta play Carlton, bro. You're not tall enough and light skinned enough to be the Fresh Prince.
As I said, I'm not touching my face. I'm not changing my color. So
you don't have to. You just be Carlton. You gotta get you got a different jersey number. Is it Carl when he shot the half court shot? Lost the game.
Didn't get it. All right, guys. It's been, as always, a pleasure rocking with you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching and following all the things you have to do in this new world. We'll be back next week, either Wednesday or Thursday, with a new episode of Inside the Green Room. And who knows? And
hopefully I'll be with a new team. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows how this world turns in this 2023-2024 NBA season. We'll see.
Read, rate, subscribe, review. Yes, sir. Happy Halloween.